Howdy, folks. What's going on? Oh, you asked me where I'm at. I am a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle today. I'm looking for Master Splinter over here in the sewer. He hasn't popped up yet. Looking for him. He's not here though. I already paged him. I don't know where he at. Yeah. I hope y'all are well. I hope you're doing good. Happy Thursday to you. Happy Thursday. You guys want to walk with me down here to this little piece of something down here, y'all? If I fall now, I need y'all help. I need y'all help if I fall. Okay? Can y'all SOS for me? If you don't mind. SOS for me, please, if you don't mind. Hope y'all are good. I wanted to talk real quick about guilt today. What guilt can do to you. Real quick, it's not going to be that long of a video. I hope that you guys are doing well. I hope you're happy. I hope that today you can find something to laugh at. I hope that for y'all. Even if just for today. But I wanted to touch on guilt. Now, I believe that guilt can only be felt if you have a conscience. It can only be felt if you have a conscience. Now, some people say, okay, well, people don't have consciences. That could be true. But if you don't have a conscience, honestly, I feel like you can't really feel any type of guilt. Right? You can't really feel any type of guilt because that consciousness is what allows you to feel that sense of guilt, that guilty feeling. You know, when you do something wrong and after the act of doing it, that feeling sets in that, oh, what did I do? Shouldn't have done that. That's the essence of the guilt, the feeling of guilt. I've always tried to walk in my consciousness as best as I could for the mental mind manipulation that I was put through. I always try to keep close knit to how to move around, you know, doing my best to not do wrong, but we do wrong. We do wrong. We mess up. We're not perfect. But I've always also tried to not put myself in situations where I feel guilt. And that's the key. The key is to do your best to avoid having to put yourself in a feeling of guilt, right? Guilt's not a good feeling to have. Guilt is not a good thing to carry around when you've done something and when you are well aware to know that you have done something, right? So today, I hope today that you walk with a conscience. I hope that you walk today knowing that whatever it is you do out here, your acts and how you behave and how you are toward others, it's good to be intact with your conscience. You're intact with your consciousness. That's your right from wrong navigation. And it's the conscience that allows you also to seek to rectify your feelings of guilt. Your feelings of guilt. If you You have a feeling of guilt. You feel guilty. You don't feel right. You don't feel settled. Right? You don't feel settled. It's not a settled feeling. You're like, oh man, I did something and now I feel the effect of what it was that I did. I feel the effect of it. And guilt can be very heavy, y'all. Guilt can eat you up. Guilt can rip you apart from the inside out. Guilt, I feel, is necessary. Having a conscience is necessary. Some people don't have a conscience, or at least they think they don't. They don't think they have a conscience, but it's there. It's there. It's there. It's there. It's there. It's there. Your conscience is there. It can be very small, but there's some type of a remnant of conscience. Your conscience, like, I did something, man. Now, when I get back to saying that element is there in whatever amount, when you don't operate in consciousness of the right from the wrong of what it is that you do, and you've been acting and behaving and carrying on, doing whatever you want, whenever you want, whoever you want, your consciousness can also be small, little next to none, or maybe none. You know, we're in a vast world. Some people may not have consciousness. Maybe they don't. Maybe they have, other types of maybe a mental situation where there is just no element of it. You know, and that's the getting into the mental health thing. And I don't want to delve too much into that because I've had a lot of heavy mental health attacks in my life where people manipulated my mind. So for me, I had to dig deep into my consciousness. That's all I had, because I was being done so wrong. I had to internalize that and say, you know what I'm seeing, what I'm observing, what I'm experiencing, I feel it, and I know it's not right. I even had to feel a consciousness for other people. And sometimes you have to do that. Sometimes you have to bear the consciousness of other people. Is it fair? No, it's not fair. Does it happen sometime? Yeah. So as a child, I bear the brunt of people's consciousness that they did not have. You have to get to a point where your consciousness has to be your absolute navigator. You have to have that moral compass inside. And when some people choose not to accept that they need to have a conscience about what it is that they do to people, you can be living life going all the way up, not thinking or not feeling your consciousness. But if you're doing wrong, what happens is your conscience can show up. And your consciousness can show up when you have reached your moral threshold, right? Your moral threshold has been extended, hyperextended. Your moral compass of your acts and your behaviors, it's gone off the roof. It's off the scale, you know, it's off the graph. It's off the graph. You can go from having a consciousness so very small to having a consciousness that will pop up on you when you've been denying it. And it can pop up on you so heavy. Your consciousness can just all of a sudden hit you and you're like, oh my gosh, this is what it feels like when I've reached my moral threshold and I have negated the essence of my consciousness. What pulls that high level of consciousness out all of a sudden when you've been living life not so great and you know you haven't, your consciousness suddenly shows up on you. It'll show up on you. And along with that big wave of consciousness, the big wave of consciousness that you didn't think you had or you didn't think was there, that consciousness, all that stuff that you've been doing, not holding yourself accountable for, that consciousness will be so heavy. I'm telling you, that consciousness will creep up on you from nowhere. When that consciousness creeps up on you and it becomes debilitating and it becomes crippling, when your consciousness hits you so hard that you feel crippled by it and you can no longer deny it, that right from wrong inside moral code I often talk about, when that consciousness comes whamming at you and you've denied it for so long, not only do you suddenly have to reflect back on things, that high level essence of consciousness, you know what it brings along with it? Still looking for Master Splinter. I see Raphael over there. Hey, Rafi, got some pizza? You know what that big consciousness thing comes in? Along with that comes the guilt. Along with that big heap of that consciousness that you failed to recognize that you had inside of you. That consciousness is so heavy. And not only does it pack a heavy punch when it comes in, it brings along guilt. It brings along that essence of accountability that you negated for so long. So not only are you being hit with a double whammy, listen, you got your consciousness out here that you never wanted to acknowledge that it was there. And you also have that essence of guilt. Guilt and the conscious mind, I feel like they're intertwined. I feel like if you have a conscience, you can also have the guilt. You should have guilt. You should have that element of feeling guilty if you are morally aware, right? Some people aren't morally aware. Some people think that their actions don't have repercussions and that they don't have to have that feeling that they did something wrong. And that can get dangerous. That can get dangerous if you've either shut your conscience off or you never thought that your conscience would actually have to turn back on like a switch light and you'd have to stand accountable for it. And you can't escape your consciousness. You can't escape your reality of what really is. And I think people run away from their level of consciousness because they don't want to, they just don't want to see what it really is, see what it is for what it is, you know. But when your consciousness has been so starved for so long because you didn't know that there could be that feeling and that element that how I was living was all mixed up. I had it all mixed up. The minute you realize you had it all mixed up, here comes your consciousness. Your consciousness is hitting you, you know, like a ton of bricks, and your consciousness hits you. And not only do you have to deal with that, now to put the final layer on the cake, you got the guilt. And I'll tell you, like I said before, guilt can kill you. the essence of feeling guilty about something, truly from your heart feeling guilty, ooh-wee. It ain't nothing to play with when you have that feeling of guilt. So I've always tried to move around to act and do to other people, treat them in ways where I don't have to feel an essence of guilt. And I don't have to feel my consciousness nagging at me saying, you did this wrong, or you did this person wrong. And I'm learning that. It wasn't an overnight thing for me, because I think ever since I was small, I always had a really sound consciousness within myself. I think my conscience was so heightened that it caused me to overly treat people better than I should have treated them. But if you're in good conscience, it's always okay. It's always to know that you have a conscience where you need to do right from wrong. It's necessary and it's critical to always have that. Whether we mess up or not, whether we make mistakes or not, whether we hurt people or not, and we're going to. We're only human. We're gonna hurt each other. We're gonna cause each other pain, maybe unnecessarily or maybe necessarily. Maybe you did something to somebody on purpose. Okay, fine. Maybe you did something to somebody intentionally. Okay, fine. But your conscience should never leave you to a place where you don't have an inkling or a desire to want to rectify. And when you don't have a desire to try to rectify or to try to figure out how you can make something right, you have that sudden presence of consciousness, and now you also have that guilt too. So you have two things that you need to be kind of tackling and dealing with what it is you've denied for so long, and also getting to a point where that guilt is coming up on top of you too. It can be rough. Guilt can make you tilt, y'all. Guilt can make you tilt. Guilt can make you, when you get to that point of feeling guilty about stuff, still got time to fix it. I always say, if you have breath in your body, you got another chance to get it right. You got another day to get it right. And so it's necessary. So this is I was just having a walk here, and I stopped by just to put a little word out on guilt and about the conscious mind, and about being aware of it. Be aware of your consciousness, y'all. Always have your moral compass with you. Your moral compass can sometimes get you to places where your physical or your tangible compass can't take you. It's your morality, it's your goodwill. Your goodwill. I'm not doing this to this person. It's not right, period. I'm not doing this to this person because it's just not right. Right is right, wrong is wrong. It's a simple concept. But in the world we're in now, that society has it all mixed up. Right is wrong and wrong is right, and up is down, left is right, and everything's so skewed. Keep your moral compass always intact. And you may have other things going on, but if you can go to bed at night and say, man, I did all I could. And at the end of the day, I did all I could, and I also did right. I did right. Don't get me wrong. If you gotta defend yourself, by all means defend yourself. Don't let people step over you. Somebody did something wrong to you. Not only do you have to have the conscience of not doing people wrong, but you also have that consciousness also that if people have seen and negate to see, you got the right to put people in their place as well, conscience or not. They've done something to you and they don't have their conscience. They don't want to acknowledge their conscience. And if it took them being humbled down and buckled down to their knees to now they have to deal with what they did plus the guilt, you just sit back and you keep your moral compass intact. Keep your moral compass intact. It's easy, y'all. It's simple. It's real. People complicated. People complicated. It's people complicated so much. And people don't believe that you reap what you sow. People don't believe that, you know, what you put out is not what you're going to get back. It is. It is. What you put out is what you will get back. You better believe that. You better stand on that. Be ready. Be ready for your lack of self-awareness and your lack of consciousness that has been denied for so long. Be ready, because you're going to have to deal with the consciousness where you can't sleep at night, where you're being haunted by your actions from the past. Your conscious mind will take sleep from you. The feeling of guilt will give you sleepless nights. The feeling of guilt can kill you. You will seek death and not be able to find it from guilt. It's in the book, go read it. You will seek death and you won't be able to find it. You'll seek death and you won't be able to find it. Self-awareness. Self-awareness, moral compass, moral code. Talking about guilt today, guys. Okay? If you feel guilt on your heart for anything, maybe journal, maybe write it down, maybe get it out, maybe voice record yourself and express what, you know, how can I get this feeling off of me? How can I make something better, or whatever happened? Be able to self-reflect. Consciousness is also about self-reflection. You got to self-reflect. And you know, if you can't self-reflect, how do you really know that what you did or how you did it was wrong to somebody else? Self-reflection is important. Self-reflection and self-love is important. You keep your moral code and your self-love intact. Not only will you be able to let other people know how to treat you, but also you will know how to treat others, because you wouldn't want that kind of thing happening to you. You wouldn't want that to happen to you. So you know what? I'm not gonna put it on somebody else. It's so simple. It's so very simple, y'all. Take a look at this. It's so simple. I'm just here underneath the bridge. I'm sure you guys can hear the oh, look at the swan. You guys see the swan right there? Now look at that. They're chilling in the water. See that? Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay? So, practice. You gotta practice it. Acknowledging is the first step. Acknowledging, hey, I did something to somebody and my soul don't feel right about it. Let me be the grown-up that I call myself and let me make it right. And I'll tell you that there's strength in making things right. There's strength in living upright. But some people don't see it that way. But I do. I do. You do right by me, I'll do right by you, and vice versa. You mistreat me, I don't know what you're gonna get at this point in my life. I've had a lot of people mistreat me, but you mistreat me now, You know, I had to go through a lot of battles, and I talk and I speak because I've been through a lot. But you mistreat me now, and I'm aware of it, you got another thing coming. You do. It took me going through a lot of pain to be able to stand in my power so that I can know and tell people how to treat me. What flew in the past don't fly now. Okay, you never go back to your vomit, guys. Okay, you know deeper down in your heart if somebody did something wrong to you, you don't go back to vomit. Okay, they had their chance, and now they have to deal with the repercussions of those steps that they took, and to now have to deal with their conscious mind, and also have to deal with the guilt of the realization of the conscious mind. It's a bear. It's horrible. It's rough. Both of them setting in at the same time. Ooh-wee. You don't want both to set in at the same time. Work on your moral code, your moral compass. Your moral compass, I feel like, you know, your moral compass has a lot of stuff inside. It's like a little toolbox. You have it right here in your chest. It's that navigation, that golden rule. People don't really operate in that golden rule mentality. It's hard, in this day and age to operate because you don't know people's intentions. You know, things are so messed up in the world. But if you keep that right from wrong, mentality. And if we mess up, we slip, we fall, we get back up and we make it right. And we keep moving. That's all we can do. So I just wanted to get that out, guys, about about your consciousness and facing guilt and how to deal with guilt. If you don't deal with guilt, it can eat away, and it can eat away till you don't feel like nothing. I don't want to live like that. I don't want to live in guilt. I don't want to live in shame. I don't want to live in fear. See, there's my shirt. My shirt says faith over fear. That's how I live. I live faith over fear. I have faith over fear, guys. You should always have faith over fear. Fear don't exist, really. It's not real. But if you have faith, my faith has gotten me through a lot. My faith has saved my life. And my faith has strengthened me. I had to live a long time on just faith. And if you have it, just the size of a mustard seed, you don't need a whole lot, y'all. You don't need a whole lot. Faith can be just one little random thought that keeps you pushing. Faith can be one little thing. Faith, man, I'm late for work today. And of all the days that you were on time, you couldn't find a parking spot. But look, the day that you're late, a slot is open for you. That's faith. That's stepping out, not even knowing what's going to happen, not even knowing what's going to be going on. But you're okay and you're sound and you're firm in your moral compass. All right? Keep your moral compass. Keep it clean. Take it out. Shine it up from time to time. Wax it if you want to. Run it through the wash. But always walk with a good moral compass. And deal with guilt. And if you feel guilty about anything, start by journaling it. Start by expressing it. Forgive yourself for whatever it was you did. But you operate and you move on with that compassion to do better, and that compassion to not so much act in that way that caused that guilt. So I wish you guys a happy Thursday. Hope everything is going good for y'all, and I also hope that you have a wonderful weekend. Spring is here, y'all. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. I hope y'all are getting some sun. Get some sun. You need some sun. Sun is good for you. Okay? Sun is good for you. Take care of yourself. And I'll see you guys a little bit later. Blessings to you.